Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Well, good afternoon. This is Kevin L. Jackson and Scott Lutton here with you on Digital Transformers by Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. And today we're really talking about Bitcoin and digital securities and what they have to do with global supply chain. We have two great experts with us to link all of this disparate things together. Stay tuned for a wonderful discussion that will get you ready to do business in the digital world. But first, I'd like to also thank our sponsor, Digital Names by Total Network Services. We'll learn more about digital names later in the show. Quick programming note before we get started. If you enjoy today's conversation, be sure to find us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Okay, with no further delay, let's bring in our featured guest, M. Nadia Vincent, the CEO of Digital Transformation Leaders, and Bradford Boats, the Director of Operations at Total Network Services Corporation. So great, Nadia, thank you for joining us from Belgium. So please tell us about yourself. How did you get into digital transformation?
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Kevin. I'm Nadia Vincent. So I've been in digital transformation or in technology for the last 25 years. Actually, I studied in Oregon, and then 25 years ago, I moved to Brussels, Belgium. And I've been here working internationally, but mostly based in Brussels, helping in transforming organization. And it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me with you today.
So Kevin, I got to share with Nadia our standard rule of thumb here. We stop counting after 20. So all of us here, we say 2 decades and we stop there.
So we appreciate you. It's kind of late there for you, huh?
Yes, it's late. It's almost 10 o'clock in the evening, 10 p.m.
So really appreciate you. Thank you very much. And Brad's on the other side of the world. He's out on the West Coast.
Yes, sir.
So Bradford, please give us a bit of your background and how did you find yourself basically at the leading edge of finances with crypto?
Yeah, it's a really cool story, and it's cool to see where God and the universe just brings you right down the path you're supposed to go. But I went to school in University of Alabama. I was working for some cybersecurity firms right after school, and that's when I really took a passion for Bitcoin because of all the criminal activity that was happening in the real estate space and other places. And basically at the end of the day, the FBI wasn't able to really help any of these businesses that may have had some kind of cyber or hacker attack that intersected a wire transfer. So in the early days of Bitcoin, there was just a lot of broken things that need to be fixed. And over the past 3 years, being in the industry and getting to see the evolution of the space and the opportunity and the reach that the technology has, the blockchain, it's just like the early days of the internet. There were so many broken things that had to scale and get to a point where they could be adopted. And that's what's really exciting about blockchain technology right now.
Now, Kevin, we've done some homework. At least our team, our army of researchers has done some homework on our two guests. I know we're about to talk about digital transformation and starting with some defining of the terms. However, it should be noted that Nadia is an expert craftsman when it comes to baking, right? And she's a historian and a passionate about the study of history. And our files tell us that Bradford is a world-class, award-winning surfer out there on the West Coast, after wakeboarding down here in the Southeast, where our waves aren't big enough to do much surfing, right, Bradford?
That's correct. It's a little different.
Lots of
I tell you.
lakes.
Got to be behind a boat.
It's also too cold out there on the West Coast in the water. Got to have a wetsuit, right?
Well, we're going to get out there
Yeah.
one day. I don't know about surfing, but I look forward to seeing it at some point. But a pleasure to have both of y'all join us here on Digital
you.
Transformers. I'm looking forward to, Kevin and I are looking forward to picking your brain a bit more. As I mentioned on the front end in the pre-show, I am not a technologist. I've been learning a lot from Kevin, especially as it relates to digital transformation. I look forward to learning from both of you here today. But let's do this. There's probably a lot of folks like me, well, maybe not so many, this slow for like I am to technology, but folks trying to wrap their head around this phrase called digital transformation and what it really means. So, Nadia, I want to start with you. From a international perspective, there in Brussels, how would you explain and define digital transformation to some of our listeners?
Okay. Digital transformation, how I explain it, is the transformation of the business using technology. Often we think of digital transformation, it's the technology is going to transform in everything and that human will be lost in technology. But that's not true at all, because the transformation is happening because we are making it happen. So we own the technology, and there should be a better relationship between the human and the technology, because currently there is a big fear when it comes to digital transformation, innovation, people who are afraid of losing their job. But instead of looking at it that way, we should look on how we are going to transform business in a digital world, in the digital era, so that it become more profitable for us business leaders, but as well that we can have much of what we want. If we want to spend more time with our family, why not? We can delegate a lot of tasks. We can have better business intelligence, which is very important because the business intelligence has changed in the digital age. Before we were in the industrial age, now we are in the digital age. We are going to do business differently, but we will still be doing business, and it will be human leading the digital age.
I appreciate that. What a well-rounded definition, and I think the phrase can be a bit intimidating for some, digital transformation, because they're not exactly sure what that means, and whether they're leading it, whether they're participating in a transformation initiative themselves. It can be a bit rattling a bit. But Bradford, what else would you add to Nadia's definition of digital transformation?
Yeah, I think in so many ways we're still in the early days of the internet and the full, reach of where it's taking us as humanity and society and everything. And there's a lot of broken parts of the current internet infrastructure that we're using, and you know, even recent events have made us understand more and more why there needs to be more transparency, security, and all of these things regarding our digital identities, footprints, the information that we receive, everything. So, I think this next chapter of the internet is going to be on a much newer set of rails called the blockchain. Cybersecurity is a huge issue with the current infrastructure of the internet. So the problem is cybersecurity. Blockchain is the solution as the standard for the new cybersecurity standard. So that's the way I see it. We're just moving out of a legacy system and infrastructure onto a much more sophisticated set of rails that's going to provide a lot of opportunities for the future scaling of where the internet's taking us.
Love it. All right. So, and Kevin, I'll give you a chance before we talk about digital currencies. Anything would you add, Kevin, to Nadia?
Well, I
Bradford?
think it's Nadia highlighted the fact that digital transformation is really about people. It's not about the technology, and it's the interaction between people. And when Bradford is talking about the security, it's really securing the information about those people, leveraging the blockchain.
Yeah, great point there. Love that point. All right, so Bradford, sticking with you, this golden age of global business, it's wonderful. There's so many opportunities out there, international commerce and beyond. So, how would you? Where does digital currencies come into this digital transformation space?
So yeah, when we're speaking about just digital currencies, let's relate that just to like some major cryptos that people are familiar with. Um, like for instance, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Everybody knows those as household names if you learned about crypto. And so many people, have been investing in that a long time, and a lot of people have had success because, it's a true limited supply of assets and digital real estate. So people are taking advantage of participating in this opportunity as a store of value.
Mhm.
But what a lot of people and a lot of businesses need to understand is, yeah, this is a great asset to add to your balance sheet. And yeah, it's a great store of value. But really, the way that this can be used as a money transfer vehicle to go around the traditional set of rails, especially between every merchant and consumer, whether that's credit cards or PayPal. Bitcoin offers superior technology that allows these consumers and merchants to peer-to-peer give 100% of an asset right then and right there with no to small transaction fee and no lag time, where if you go through PayPal or another credit card service, it may take days or weeks for that payment to actually hit your account. There's a lot of power with receiving 100% of that asset right then and there, and then being able to reallocate it and disperse it and operate your business quickly and much more efficiently.
Love it. It's like a whole new generation of optimizing your order to cash process. So we'll be
Yeah.
talking a lot more about that, Kevin, in the months ahead. Uh, Nadia, same question to you. Where do you see digital currencies kind of fitting into the overall digital transformation landscape?
Well, the thing is that with digital transformation, we go global. Business is done globally, not locally. So that means we have a lot of decentralization, whether it's the workforce, the tools we use. Then the one value we've been using, most of the time we use dollar, American dollar. Although I'm
Mm.
in Europe, most of the time I use American dollar for my business. And years ago in Europe, we had that big issue with so many different currency for different states. We had to adopt the euro. So it was a way to centralize business. But today, in a global market, the Bitcoin is the global currency. Even if
Mm.
it's not fully now, tomorrow it's going to be the global currency that allow every business to decentralize. Because what happened with a currency is held by a country, and anytime there is inflation and political instability, the currency is affected. With Bitcoin, it will be, I mean, for a pandemic like we have today with the COVID-19, that's the kind of thing that could impact the Bitcoin much more than if there is, let's say, a coup d'etat in one country. So Bitcoin and as well blockchain, that's the decentralization value, the decentralization technologies for digital transformation.
Wow, that's a huge statement right there, Nadia. You're basically saying that Bitcoin and these digital currencies are going to replace international commerce. I mean, that's going to really change the global supply chain, how people buy and sell things.
Definitely.
Bradford, what's your point of view on this? How should companies really view digital currency from from that lens?
Well, I mean, I think a great example and something that's caught a lot of the mainstream attention is, now, there's been a lot of different, real estate deals and transactions that have happened with Bitcoin that have made
Mhm.
news and got recognized through different PR. But now that Elon Musk is, accepting Bitcoin and other cryptos as a payment for Tesla. I mean,
Yeah.
this is really huge because it's going to be, really showing the power of the technology. When people that want to go buy a Cybertruck can just pay for that right there with Bitcoin. People's eyes are really going to be opened as, wow, why am I not running my business like Elon's running his business? Because in so many ways, people are just going to want to adopt new technology and participate in these assets, and accept them as means of transactions, just because now you have people that are definitely the smartest, some of the smarter people, in business and in all types of different verticals, that are saying, hey, this is the way that business owners can have a huge advantage, or any entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, I just saw yesterday, I think, that MasterCard is going to launch a credit card that supports, quote, selected digital coins. And I mean, Elon is, he made his money in PayPal, and now PayPal is going to be taking Bitcoin. So as a business owner, how do you get ready for this inevitable transaction, especially small business owners? I mean, is this something that they don't have to worry about? Should they run out and get a digital wallet today?
Yeah, would you like me to go and respond to this?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think the truth of it is, all of these businesses, since Bitcoin's existed, could have been accepting it as a way of payment, but there wasn't a lot of trust with the asset. There wasn't a lot of use of ease, or ease of use, excuse me, as far as how to use it, how to accept it. But really, now there's so many different financial platforms that people are familiar with, like Coinbase, Cash App, PayPal, and like now you're even hearing about MasterCard, getting in the game. But all of these services are going to be offering ways, and already do offer, for instance, like a Bitcoin wallet. So, if you can have a easy way, which lots of technologies are providing, to be able to list your wallet address, then it's very easy for you to present your consumer with that as a merchant and say, hey, just send me that asset right now, because I'll get a notification on my phone that I've received it. That's how fast the blockchain moves. So, it is, there's a lot of tools and resources that are being scaled, and that are going to hit the mainstream to make these crypto transactions very easy and simple, and just not complicated. So many things were very hard to use in the early days of the internet. People had no idea how to use it. It's funny watching those old news clips of people talking about the early days of the internet. What is this? I put a www.
Can you tell me what an email is?
Yeah. Now 10 years, now where we're at, in 2021, it's just crazy how it's totally transformed everything already. You can't not participate in this digital world. And I think this last year has been a huge proof of concept, showing us, if we want to survive in this day and age, we have to be competing with the right tools. And, blockchain and a lot of these digital assets are huge tools. They just have to continue to be educated in the mainstream eye, so that people can learn how to use them. And there's a lot of businesses that are pushing these tools to make it easier.
So
I'd like to add
Yeah, go ahead, Nadia.
I'd like to add something with it. The technology itself, both for blockchain and Bitcoin, this part is easy, creating the digital currency. The biggest challenge that we need to expect is the adoption. Adoption by people, because people are used to a currency that is held somewhere, that, I mean, they are attached to that kind of security. So when someone like Elon invests in it, that starts a trend, because the one thing that has slowed down it was the security aspect. The second point is government, because for government, that means they are going to lose control.
Yeah.
And that they won't like it. So a company will need, business owners need to be very innovative on how they use it. And as well, businesses must they must be on the forefront of the innovation. They should be the one driving it, because there is so much freedom that you can get with the Bitcoin and the blockchain that it's scary for government, it's scary for people as well. So there is a lot of education, customer education for the customer experience. And every business owner should think about educating people about the adoption of the Bitcoin, because it's a completely different new world, a new way of doing business for them. But any business that are investing, the more businesses are investing in it, the more people will be comfortable in adopting it.
Well, one thing I want to sort of pull on that a little bit, because you've been over in Europe for quite a while. You went through the transition from the different national currencies to euro.
Yes.
You're there watching the eurozone being rocked by Brexit,
Yeah.
and all of the challenges with respect to international trade and commerce. I would a small business or even a moderate sized business trying to deal with all of these change, and now they're getting hit with Bitcoin. I mean, you said you think it's going to be maybe replace the dollar as international currencies. I mean, what's going to happen to international trade? Are we going to have a euro exit here soon?
I doubt, because the different countries, the difference between Europe and America is that you can have 50 states, but you speak the same language, even when everyone speak other language. And there are more common points than in Europe. In Europe, for example, I live in Belgium, there are three languages for a very small country. Imagine doing marketing in this small country. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
expensive, it's very expensive. And same thing in France, the way we do business in the north is different than the south. So there are so many differences in Europe, and the issue is that everyone wants to keep their identity. Everyone is fighting to keep their identity.
Yeah.
Even in the same country, everyone is fighting to keep it. So I don't see them leaving, not adopting the euro. There may be more similar like the Brexit. Some country will realize that, okay, it's not in my interest, this euro thing, because I have to pay much more. I'm leaving the euro. But this is not sustainable, because long term we are growing global. So any attempt to become smaller, unless if you're a huge country like France, Germany, they have more freedom than Belgium can, because Belgium is a small country. Its negotiation power is very small, but still they have to join the global force. So I do see Bitcoin will be normal currency. It will be an alternative currency along with the euro. I don't see the euro disappearing, no. But many people may will prefer to use blockchain. But again, that's the customer education part that business leader need to do to help people not to be too fearful about the Bitcoin.
Scott, how do you see this?
Well, I'll tell you what, from what I'm learning, so I spoke to a dear friend of mine that I worked in metal stamping with in the manufacturing industry several years back. And, he's been diversifying a wide variety of his investments. And he was telling me not too long ago about how he invested in Bitcoin a few years back and how well it's doing here today. So clearly, based on that anecdotal, local friendly feedback, and then what I'm hearing here, I got to get with it. I got to get with the program and dive deeper, because it is truly transforming global business, not just, and we're going to talk about global supply chain here again in a minute, because that's one of my, I'm a big supply chain nerd, Bradford and Nadia. Kevin knows this already.
That's okay.
So let's talk about, if we can, Nadia, I want to stick with you for a second, and Bradford, I'll come to you next. But Nadia, let's say, international supply chains are here to stay. I mean, there's been a lot of talk here in the States, at least, about, reshoring and nearshoring, and surely there's already been some of that. There'll be some of that, but because consumers still love inexpensive things, and that's still, despite some other things they're shaping priorities, still that's really important, and that really requires that flex across international supply chains in many ways, to act on that consumer sentiment. But Nadia, let's play a little role modeling game or role playing game here. So let's say I lead a international supply chain, and I really, I might be late acting, but I want to jump on and tackle a successful digital transformation approach. For starters, how would I approach that? And then secondly, if you could address, what training or certification programs, what resources are out there to help me and my team really be successful at it?
Okay. Well, will the supply chain be your core business?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So whether it is your core business or not your core business, because many organizations, it's not their core business. It's like a supporting business unit in it. And both, they should consider a 360-degree transformation and not focusing on siloed. That means you should not focus on the supply chain part only. You should see your whole business. Because currently there is a big challenge. Many organizations who transform, they choose where they think their business need to transform, one area or two, and they have some silo, they transform it. And then later on, some of them go bust or get even more challenges because there is a matrix effect. You don't transform part of your business, but adopt a 360-degree transformation. That means looking at every business unit and reinvent the business. And we are talking about international business, global business. One of the first things is about reviewing the business model. That's very important. First thing,
Right.
seeing the business model, how does it fit in a global market, especially for supply chain, as you say, everyone like some cheap things. You want to keep some cash.
But every
Yeah.
business is international on the internet.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. So I will consider really have a full digital strategy. When I say the full digital strategy, for example, I won't consider one technology. Let's say if you want to implement artificial intelligence, I will tell you, don't just go and implement artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence by itself doesn't exist. Artificial intelligence by itself is dumb. Artificial intelligence without data is completely dumb. Without the cloud is useless.
Hey, tell us how you really feel, Nadia. Don't hold anything back. Don't hold anything back.
So it's a system we put together. And with the right business strategy, with the right process, with the right business model. Because what I see happening a lot, especially the past 5 years before COVID-19, many organizations, they were transforming, they take one part, they choose what they are going to implement, they are going to transform their marketing. Okay, we do digital marketing, we take care of the customer experience, but behind the things couldn't work together.
Right.
So this model should not exist anymore. It's not sustainable. If a company implement that kind of model today, it's emergency to have a full transformation, a 360-degree transformation to re-examine your whole organization. Otherwise, I give you no more than 2 years to live.
So
and I sign my name on it. So it's very important to look at it like that. And based on the strategy, you are going to choose the different tools to implement together to transform your business. Again, as I say, it's not what the technology is going to do to your business. It's what you, as an executive, what you are going to use technology to achieve in your business. So therefore, the business model, the business vision is very important. And then we go further down and we talk technology, the last thing.
About your goals.
Yes, yes, in the visions, goals, and we go down further. And about learning what people, and
Yes.
actually, I've seen that happen with so many organizations that, especially organizations that I'm called in to rescue the implementation. And then that's when you're finding out that part of it was conceived, but most of it was left behind. So in that context, I created a 365-degree approach to digital transformation, where I covered from the business vision until last implementation. And there is such a misunderstanding of digital transformation that some people will say, but I cannot understand that you do it all, Nadia. I say, I don't do it all. I can't do it all. But as an executive, I know all the part in your business, what you need to implement.
Mm.
And then there are part I'm very specialized in, and there are other part, then I will call some other expert to contribute to it. And that's how you get a 365-degree digital transformation. And I created this program that I delivered to organizations globally. Kevin, his part is helping in delivering this program as well, where we work more on networking, cloud, artificial intelligence, and data structure. And that's a way to help organizations to shift from the siloed to a full 360-degree, 65-degree digital transformation.
Well, all right. So a lot there. So you're saying it's really simple, Nadia, right? 3-point plan. Now, I appreciate what you shared there, and I really appreciate, um, as Kevin kind of put it, it's about people. Some of what I heard you say there, Nadia, is don't lock in on digital, because it truly is business transformation, right? And
Yeah.
a friend of the show, DC, made that point in some of our earlier programming, Kevin, and I think it's really spot on. All right, and thank you
Oh,
for sharing some
may I
resources.
add something? I'd
Sure.
like to add something to simplify all what I said that was long, because I created a formula for this, which is very simple. So
Do
Oh,
share.
digital transformation is equal to individual transformation time business transformation time technology transformation, and all divided by fear.
fear.
Fear. Because fear, that's what is causing people to stop innovating. We need to reduce
Ah,
fear, and we need to unleash the power of innovation from everyone. And you cannot approach digital transformation without transforming the individual, without transforming the business and the technology. It's all of it together.
So Nadia, there's
yeah,
hopefully,
not down to fear.
yes, not down to fear. Business calculus was not kind to me in college, so I'm hoping there's not going to be any quiz on these equations, Nadia, after the interview. All right, so Bradford, let's talk about digital currencies, and I appreciate what you've shared already. But for business owners, business leaders, for that matter, anybody that wants to further explore and kind of train themselves up, what resources, what learning resources are out there?
Yeah, so I'll get into education in 1 second. I just wanted to back up something Nadia said, and I, appreciate everything that she just said there. Something that's been really interesting to me with supply chain is, already watching some big companies adopt it. So, we talked about Tesla, but, something that's really interesting is Amazon. For the past about 2 years now, you could buy anything on Amazon with crypto up to a certain price point, so like, probably like $5,000, $10,000. But it's very simple, and, it's very interesting to learn how they were, utilizing it to help their supply chain, because, basically I would download this little browser extension called Moon Technologies. And I've talked to this company, and, they're partnering with Amazon. But essentially what this browser extension did is when you get on the Amazon checkout page, it would just pull up your Coinbase wallet, and then you could pay them directly in Bitcoin. So the first thing I noticed was really cool is, like, you put in a address, but you don't have to put in a billing address for like a credit card processing. And there's no lag time on Amazon's side as far as like, oh, well, let's wait till we get our money to send out the package. It's like, oh, we have 100% of the asset already in Bitcoin, so we can send out the package right now. There's no lag time. And that also was cool because, on certain days, they called them crypto prime days on Amazon. Right. If you paid with crypto, you'd get an incentive, because on their side, they're not paying a transaction fee. They don't have to wait on the money. So it's like, why wouldn't I offer my incentive, my consumer incentive for giving me a preferred payment option? So, on the back end, it's not like Amazon's holding all of this Bitcoin. They work with a broker dealer to convert that to USD immediately. Or, they probably have some that they add to their balance sheet that they don't liquidate. But just as a use case for supply chain and just showing how, Amazon's, big corporate, but if every small business owner could be doing this, they could offer their consumers incentives as well. And they could, have the same advantages Amazon is having as far as immediately receiving that asset, and not having to rely on any of the third parties that these businesses rely on. So it's kind of like going into what Nadia is saying, is, understanding that you can't be scared of these tools because they're so disruptive. And that's something that you need to get behind, because you can really be disrupting your current supply chain model if you adopt these technologies. Just do the equation she gave, and it all makes sense, right? It's don't be
my
scared.
Protractor for that one.
Yeah. Don't be scared. Figure out how to do it, and it's become easier and easier. And I guess just kind of pivoting to the next part of the question, just education.
So Bradford, if I can weigh in just for a second, before we switch over to education on digital currencies, Kevin, Bradford and Nadia just dropped a ton of knowledge here. So before we talk about education on digital currencies, what would you piggyback on here? What's one of the most important things that our audience really needs to understand about that last segment?
Well, I don't want to scare people with equations, but that equation was really important.
Yeah,
because the denominator. Yeah, it's the fear, right? The more fear you have, the less you can take advantage of your own transformation of individual, your business transformation, and the use of technology for transformation. So you really, you slow yourself up by having fear. Right? Go try things, learn about things, get the education. Fear, there's no real value in fear. It just takes fear away.
Love that. All right. So now, Bradford, now we're going to talk about using the education to smashing that fear, right? Smashing that fear down. What are some resources you'd recommend to folks?
So I would recommend, credible sources for information, just like anything. And that's been very hard to find in the crypto space, with it being, a lot of people just saying like, I might be a Bitcoin influencer or a blockchain expert, but, up to this point, everybody's really trying to learn how this technology is going to become standardized and, really implemented into, all these different models. So credible source for information. I would listen to a lot of the speakers on Real Vision, if you've heard of that. I think the Blockworks group, Anthony Pompliano, their podcast, Off the Chain, offers a lot of good information. And, there's only going to become more and more opportunities for education. I actually see a lot of, the next few years, there being a lot of job opportunities created around just helping businesses, consumers, individuals educate themselves and set up these technologies that are going to enable them to transform their businesses utilizing these tools. So, just like in the early 90s, when you had a business that was just a bunch of cubicles with no computers in it, they had to hire some kind of service to come in, and whether those people knew how to use those tools or not, they had to implement the tools and educate them how to use them. to evolve the business and continue to allow it to scale. So, we're just going to see another one of those opportunities. And, I think in a lot of ways it will help the economy and job creation a lot. And that's international, because this is not just a domestic thing. This is a global resource.
Well put.
Wow.
Kevin, I'm going to toss it back over to you, but really quick, when Bradford talked about that cubicle example, it took me, for some reason, back to my Air Force days back in my first stint, and we were using 286s and 386s, and then we got the fast 486, I think, with the first Pentium chip. But to Bradford's point, we got to lean on those trusted resources and advisors that help us figure out where that, how can we implement that kind of stuff and act on it, and to get over our fear that prevents us from acting. So a lot of good stuff here. All right. So Kevin, where are we going next?
Well, I was just wondering, Bradford, for this training education, is there a top age limit? So Yates, never mind.
I know what you mean.
You gotta be young.
Well, that's why there's going to be a lot of jobs created for people that have patience.
I'll tell you, this has really been an enlightening discussion. I mean, we've learned a lot of how things are going to change. So other people other than me are interested in learning more. So Brad, how would listeners get in touch with you to learn? And I'm going to get the same thing from Nadia.
Yeah. So, connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Bradford Botes, and that's B as in boy, O-T-E-S. And also connect with us over at Dealbox. Go to our site, dlbx.io. We're a company that's packaging up a lot of these digital securities. So, we're tokenizing these companies' cap tables and equity so that, their security and revenue streams and royalties can all flow on a blockchain. But we have a lot of crypto related companies that are helping with this education, adoption, resources. So definitely get in touch with me if you'd like to learn more about these companies and just ongoing education. We'll be doing some cool things with the Clubhouse app, if you're familiar with it, where we'll have a chat room that will allow people to come on and join us and ask questions and just learn more about the different tools and resources that we have.
Yeah, I just found out about makecryptoeasy.io. So go check that out.
Yeah.
And Nadia, transformation, how do they reach out to you and learn more about what they need to do?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn name is m.nadiavincent. My company is digitaltransformationleaders.com. And you can see the logo with the big icon behind me. And for education, well, for the last 7 years, I've been educating people, preparing themselves to adopt digital transformation. And my second book, Leveraging Digital Transformation, which you will find on Amazon and any other libraries. Leveraging Digital Transformation is focusing on education, 360-degree, 65-degree transformation, and as well on digital transformation leaders. We have lots of courses and coaching for that. So I can be reached that way. On Twitter, my name is ITTransLeader at ITTransLeaders. So yeah, I'm very available online. So.
Well, great, IT Trans Leader. So on that note, be sure to check out a wide variety of industry thought leadership at supplychainnow.com. And you can find us and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. So on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, this is Kevin L. Jackson and Scott Lutton wishing all of our listeners a bright and transformable future. We'll see you next time on Digital Transformers. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.